Hi everyone, this is the Air Astana Airline Fan Club channel. My name is German. Let's go.
Welcome aboard Air Astana.
This is the English-speaking audience version of my recent Russian edition that I want to release to share some very important information about Air Astana's commitment to safety. Before we start, I have to mention that according to the official announcement that was released on the 8th of October, Peter Foster soon will retire from the position of Chief Executive Officer. Over the years, we have come to rely and trust Mr. Foster. Not only Kazakhstan citizens, but the audience from other countries and aviation lovers and officials from all international organizations also associate this chivalrous gentleman with Air Astana. He is the one who implemented current brand values, and of course, safety is the most important thing that could raise concerns after his retirement. However, I'm confident that future CEO Ibrahim Janlail will successfully deal with a strong basement. I started planning to release a video about safety in Air Astana several months ago as my investment, as my contribution of the immutable reputation of the airline to show all of you that not only Peter Foster is the lonely architect of the safety. There is no doubt that long time ago, constant and permanent analysis of threats and potential dangers has become an integral part of the airline's DNA. The people who are responsible for avoiding uncertainty carefully follow political situations around the world. Please don't forget to press like and leave comment below. These simple actions help us promote the video, and we in turn are promoting Air Astana Airline completely free of charge. To draw the most realistic picture of Air Astana in terms of safety, I have to mention one very special adjective. Usually people use this word in a negative way, but I believe that when we speak about health protection, there are no unnecessary measures. That is why I can describe the meticulous safety analysis in Air Astana as paranoid. As confirmation of this, I will quote from 2018 interview with Air Astana's flight safety promotion manager Aglanbek Sarmukanov. Our job is to identify and understand risks so that we can determine what might happen before it happens and take appropriate preventative actions. Now I want to explain the department where airline employees monitor current performance, analyze prospective issues and consider probable steps from a risk perspective. This branch of Air Astana develops strategies to avoid negative consequences that could affect operations even in theory. They construct special models to validate or refute potential risks. If we look at the organizational structure on Air Astana official site, we can see several blue rectangles. The one we are looking for is Chief Safety Compliance Officer, who heads the division of the same name. The leader of this department is one of the most experienced managers in Air Astana. His name is Gerhard Kaetze. According to the short note on the official website, Mr. Kaetze is a former Air Force navigator and qualified accident investigator. I believe this experience was essential when he took the leadership role in 2006 at Air Astana headquarters. He applies his expertise as someone who understands military affairs, which is why Air Astana is more cautious compared with other airlines. You will see this in the following examples. For instance, in 2021, Air Astana filed a lawsuit against the Embraer Corporation, accusing the Brazilian company of indifference to passengers' lives. The case was dismissed by mutual agreement in early 2023. What was the essence of this case? Air Astana had 5 Embraer E190 second-generation aircraft. In November 2020, one of these planes experienced autopilot failure during a flight, and the pilots had to complete the flight manually. On other aircrafts, hydraulic system flaws appeared. Eventually, the airline's management decided to pause operations of this aircraft type. For several months, Embraer officials did not investigate the reports or ensure these flaws would not cause negative consequences. Embraer representatives claimed that Air Astana was the only airline to pause E190 operations. At the end of 2020, there were fewer than 40 such airplanes worldwide, around 35 to 40, compared with production numbers of popular models like the Boeing 737 and the Airbus 320. Embraer produces a very small number. But even if only one of 40 aircraft had an unknown problem, that represents about 2.5% of the fleet. This number is completely unacceptable in aviation. Translated into plain language from Embraer's official statements, their meaning was: one airplane with unknown defects is not a serious concern. However, this was a serious concern for Air Astana. As I mentioned at the beginning, risk assessment is central to airline operations. Even a small hint of vulnerability becomes the focus of attention for security specialists. At the end, Air Astana decided to remove the E190 from its fleet. The decision was driven not only by the autopilot issue, but also by Embraer's lack of responsiveness. Ground service expenses could be significant, but the risk to lives in the air is far more important. People's lives are irreplaceable. In this case, specialists already knew about potential threats and documented all deviations according to the international aviation regulations. Even small signals cannot be ignored, because a minor issue could escalate into a major problem. Any minimum possibility of failure becomes a serious risk. Unfortunately, there are some implicit factors that affect the safety level, and these must always be under the control and supervision of specialists. Now I will explain the flight suspensions to the Russian Federation and the extension of suspensions from Kazakhstan to Israel, and how the airline responds to military conflicts. Over the past few years, the most military tense regions for Air Astana have been the south and southwest, particularly conflicts between Iran and Israel, and India and Pakistan. The airline has suspended flights to Delhi several times due to conflicts between these nuclear powers, and has also temporarily changed flights routes from Kazakhstan to Dubai. Why? The obvious reason is the threat of civilian aircraft being mistaken for military targets. The changes to Dubai and Delhi were temporary, and operations on these routes have since fully resumed. The situation with flights to Tel Aviv is more complex. In October 2023, Israel suffered a massive terrorist attack. Its airspace remained open, but almost all airlines except Israeli ones cancelled flights. After some time, many airlines returned, but Air Astana did not immediately resume flights. Why? Experts are considering threats, including the possibility that an airplane could be captured and used as a weapon by trained individuals, especially those who sympathize with or may support dangerous organizations. Airlines cannot provide security at that level themselves. It is the responsibility of governments to monitor and prevent such risks. Even if weapons cannot be brought on board, it is possible for a hijacking to occur without cause, simply by deception or insider knowledge. Because of this, airlines that are truly serious about safety may indefinitely delay resuming flights. This is why Air Astana does not currently fly to Tel Aviv. The airline was inspected by Israeli security authorities, which confirmed the highest level of safety. On September 7th, 2023, Air Astana operated its first flight to Israel after meticulous preparation, and the route was expected to become profitable. However, By October 7th, the route was again closed. While security specialists at other airlines assessed the risk as minimal, Gerhard Kaetz's team at Air Astana saw the situation differently. When conditions change, I am confident Air Astana will return to Israel. The airline continuously monitors ongoing low intensity and active military conflicts along its route network and overflight paths. Now, another example, flights to the Russian Federation. On March 11th, 2022, Air Astana completely stopped flying to Russia. Some speculated that Biosystems, which at that time held 49% of Air Astana shares, influenced the decision. However, 2 years later, in February 2024, Bayer reduced its stake to 16%, and Air Astana still did not resume flights. The decision became clearer after the tragedy on December 25th, 2024, in Aktau, when an Azerbaijan Airlines flight previously attacked by Russian air defense attempted an emergency landing. This showed that operating in Russia carries serious risks to passenger lives and, by extension, to the airline's reputation. Air Astana corporate security specialists analyze both real and hypothetical threats equally. Flight cancellations can frustrate passengers, but in aviation, where safety is paramount, no detail is trivial, from leadership decisions to aircraft type selection to risk assessment for reopening routes. This is the end of the storytelling. So Air Astana began to follow the principle safety first in 2005, when Peter Foster became the CEO. But the real change started in 2006, when Mr. Kaetze joined the airline. He is one of the most strict and rigorous executive officers in Air Astana. His responsibilities include the total control of secure operations, and in this case, airline's achievements are Gerhard Kaetz's achievements. Finally, one more note on operations. I also discuss onboard musical instruments in a separate video you can watch here. Some airlines ignore their own equipment transport regulations and even stage concerts at altitude, which is unsafe. On that note, I will end this video. Draw your own conclusions. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.